My name's Zio, and welcome once again to another Coffee with Zio. This is a more free-form, unscripted sort of thing that we like to do around this time each month. We'll dive right in with what everyone's been buzzing about. That's right, Stia. We'll be using the same three categories as before: presentation, story, and gameplay. Presentation, I feel they knocked it out of the park here. They definitely nailed the atmosphere of a hellish volcano inhabited by something really dangerous, driven home even more so by the even greater number of dolls. You know they're guarding something big here. Of course you have the magma, the lava pools, and the lava bombs falling from the sky. I like how they have us use the environment to damage enemies and obtain items. The other environments were beautiful too. The music here was also great. They did a really good job here. But the only critique here is that it's smaller than the other regions. There were so many parts of the outer area that looked like you could actually go there, but nope. So for that, I'm gonna have to give it an 8 out of 10. Would have been higher if we had more to explore. Now on to story. This is where players have been especially critical. We learned some new things here, and not just about the immediate threat to this region. Who would have thought Crawford would turn out to be such a badass? This was definitely the most fortified area of Halpha, and now we understand why. So it looks like Halpha is home turf for both the Dark Falls and the dolls. I guess this would explain why they don't attack the animals. We know Dark Falls uses Stia as its charging station now, but why is it here? Why are the dolls here? We're still very much in a chicken or the egg situation here. Who came first? Arcs or the dolls? And that still leaves altars and formers too. What Crawford said at the end does open the door for what I said in January about multiple Dark Fallses. We might get a rematch with the current one later on, or something totally different. Whatever rat comes out of its space-time hidey hole. The cutscenes and battles were also really well done here. I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10. I wish it were longer. So now we have gameplay. We're not just talking about class changes. I'm gonna say this right off the bat. This is where the update really shines. Dryzen Plant was everything that Rayord Gorge should have been. The recon gigants are fun to fight, and they spawn frequently enough in between vets. It never feels like there's too much downtime in there. Rayord Gorge's biggest issue was that none of the enemies outside of Ancients were even worth fighting. You do have the chance of getting your hands on Gigas 4 or Dreadkeeper 4 capsules. Oh, and there's also the Gunblaze series. I have yet to find one myself. The only issue is the verticality in there, but getting around doesn't feel too bad. As far as skills go, I feel like just about everyone got some nice stuff. Hunter Partisan gets a Dragoon jump like Final Fantasy. Fighter Double Saber feels really good. I know Ranger's a popular subclass choice in parties now because of Blight Round self-benefit, but I can see them making that skill Ranger weapon exclusive in the future. Bravers and Bouncers got that skill that lets them make use of both of their weapons without separate gear sets. And let me talk about Tekker here for a bit. Oh my goodness, they finally threw us a bone in the offense department. And it comes on the back of Element Revoke too. And it hits really hard. I like how they implemented it here too. This is making them feel like badass battle mages, and I am so here for this. This goes back to a video that I put out back in May. In that video I said no class should ever have to rely on weapons from another class because their main weapon is inferior. And for the longest time that was Tekker with jet boots. We are definitely moving away from that shit, thank God. As someone who plays a decent amount of that class, this makes me super happy. So with that, I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10. I know people felt I was too generous with Kavaris, and they're not entirely wrong. So with that said, I'm giving Stia a solid 8 out of 10. They keep learning from their mistakes, and I think this is the real start of the NGS Redemption Arc. I think they realize they have real competition, especially with Blue Protocol coming out, and they can't rely on their character creation and AC scratches to carry them. Their next, and perhaps their biggest litmus test will come in June with whatever they have planned for after Stia. If they bungle this, they'll have another mass exodus on their hands worse than episode 5, and it won't just be Japan either. Blue Protocol will be out in Japan by then and most likely in the West soon after. If things don't turn around with episode 2 or whatever, then they're gonna have problems. But they've always managed to course correct one way or another, and I respect them for that. One thing I like about Blue Protocol is they're really drilling down and paying attention to the player feedback they got from the closed betas. So what else have I been up to? So the FF5 retrospective, it performed about how I expected. I knew that it would flop numbers wise compared to everything else on here. It is frustrating to have something that you worked on for several months get such a weak response, but I guess I can take solace in the fact the ones who did see it very much enjoyed it. Do I regret making it? No. So I did a poll here and on Twitter about interest in a Phantasy Star retrospective. Even though the actual 35th anniversary will have come and gone by the time I have the legwork done, you guys almost unanimously want to see that. Maybe I should have done this in lieu of FF5, but like I said, I don't regret making that. But some of that work has already been done for me with previous projects. I feel like I had an easier time with the FF5 retrospective compared to the PSO2 one. I feel like I'd gotten better at researching and preparing for those longer videos. Like, the PSO2 video took me about 9 months on and off. The majority of that was researching, scripting, and gathering up the supporting visuals. Actually putting it together just took a few days. I can probably have that out sometime in the spring. So now I ask you, how are you liking Stia so far? You know how much I love chopping it up with you in the comments section and on the streams. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and if you celebrate it, Merry Christmas, and remember, to thine own self be true. Until next time, farewell.